Akrotov. I'm the president of UNHRC in I'm UN 2020, and we are going to be opening up this interview with a couple of brief questions. And thank you for joining us, Mr. Moctezuma.
Thank you, Andre.
So my first question goes out to you is that we had such a great presentation coming from you with all of the sources and the inspiration that you gave us, and really just the flow of ideas that you presented was absolutely brilliant. But maybe one of a personal question, an opener, what serves as your personal source of inspiration for those ideas? What inspires you the most to keep doing this and keep coming up with those possible schemes, how to solve problems and how to approach the kinds of things you talked about?
Well, thank you, Andre, for your question. The thing that pushed me to have this kind of eagerness to solve things has two origins. First, I was the first graduate in my family with a professional degree, and because of a economical downturn in my family, my brother couldn't. And later on, I was able to pay for my sister's scholarships. So I faced the problem of not having access in my house to the resources of the knowledge and maybe the connections. I've seen the difference in the professional pathways within my own family. Secondly, in my professional career, I was appointed in different roles and positions in multinational companies. And because of that, I was working in processes that lead me to downsize the organization. So I terminated at least 18,000 job positions. So because I have those two experiences, I have suffered in my own family what is not to have the resources and to have it, and also because I've destroyed many employees. Right now, my vision is I need to create something that allows me to create employment, and the same point of accessing or creating these archetypes of how everyone could be able to do something if they have the resources, the knowledge, and the methodology for them to thrive. So it's my personal stake on it because I have already suffered it, and I was like consequence of it.
Okay, thank you so much, Victor. You are for me the example of what the human condition is all about. I grew up learning about this term, the human condition, and unfortunately, in the world today, for me, it's a shame that students don't grow up learning about the human condition. Just like we don't teach you how to dance, we jump you, we push you in the dance floor, and then the first mistake you are knocked out. Whose fault it is. So I'm very touched about what you just shared right now. First of all, the presentation was brilliant, and the student really wanted to ask more questions. So, I'm sure that we are going to find a mechanism by which we're going to keep on engaging. Having about 500 students participating in a conference like this, I think for me, it's an opportunity that we need to seize to really help about the change that they are seeking. We are all seeking. So the question is, when it's very important what the language we use. You are talking about you being responsible, giving the pink slip. That's how we say here in the US when you file, giving the pink slip to 18,000 people. Most people just say, I was doing my job, I was told to do that, and that's it, and they will not go. But for you to really take that as something that really touches you to go home and not sleep over it is something that is make you unique, and that's exactly what the reason we are here together. And that's we are creating ILAB that I visited. I love it. One of the best thing I've ever did visiting that ILAB. So my question to you is that, based on your experience, you work with MIT, with the World Bank, and all these things that have supported you in this initiative. What could we say is the problem? How can we have those who just acting as a robot, like, okay, the company asked me to fire, I'm firing, so I don't care, it's not my problem, things like that. How do we address those kind of things when we have a world where it's all just about me? How can we, humanize and get people to realize that yes, we are human beings and we need to care, as just like you're saying in your presentation, it's all of us. There's no third planet where some will go there and some. So the virus shows us that we are all equal in front of it, right? So what is the message? Because many of the students we have here care about the environment, care about life, and they want to make a difference. So how could they? How will it be? How would they approach the people that kind of separate themselves for what they are doing?
The thing that jumps in top of my head is empathy. The first thing is for you to be sensitive that you are not the only one having this urgency or feeling that there is something needed outside. So by you to have this authenticity of showing yourself that I am not the only one, I'm sharing this vulnerability with others to say, I need to do something, but I cannot do it alone. I need your support. This is an opener for everyone, because this is not like laying down your defenses and getting someone to help you. This is about recognizing that you have an opportunity that has to be shared with others, and through the sharing, you can create a better landscape, because you have a unique vision, a unique position, and if you connect with the unique vision and position of others that are contagious, but because there is an energy around this necessity to solve, better things will happen. I mean, I was fortunate enough to question myself in the right way and connect through my questions with others that I find themselves that it was also a better way if we create something in common. And this something in common, I mean, ILAB is not something for myself, it's something for others. The solutions and whatever is the output of whatever ILAB touches, you can see it in better quality of life, social development, social mobility, is through others. So the outcome of whatever thing you are doing is through and because of others. That's the other way, and that's the only way. So it's beyond empathy. It's by sharing and connecting and reshaping.
Okay, thank you very much. Empathy actually is something that's well needed. As an American citizen who is going through a difficult time, the once mighty United States is on its knees, and I think one of the reasons we are there is exactly because the lack of empathy is some of the leaders, the people leading in the country. So thank you very much for that. So, okay, Andre, you have your shot for your second question.
Yes, thank you so much. I would like to maybe continue with the theme of empathy and sharing experiences. And given your experience in entrepreneurship and business and the number that you've mentioned during the presentation, helping to establish 40,000 companies, that is a very large number indeed. We can often see that many young people want to go to the business scene with their own startup ideas, and the startup scene in my home country in Estonia is really large. And young people are especially prone to something that's called selection bias, where we focus only on the success stories and we tell people how to make a big buck, how to get rich quick, and how to become as successful as possible, while at some point maybe neglecting the failure stories of many people and why and how they failed. Do you think we should approach success stories and so-called failure stories equally, and how maybe we can address those failures? How can we teach young people not to fail, and how can we teach them how to deal with failure when they inevitably do?
Thank you very much, Andre. My position on this is you need to understand history. It's not about stories, it's about history, because each story has a past. So you have to learn whatever happened, working or not, in the past, and because in the past there was a very precise context. Now you have another context with another resources. How you can, through the learning, create the next phase, because the story is a continuum. This is not about your momentum in Estonia or right now in the United States, or is the momentum of my momentum in Mexico. Is because we shared a problem and we shared a story. How you can learn through my mistakes or whatever successes I have. Every success is also failure. So how you can learn through the experience, and because of that experience, you can create a better one for yourself, and for the future's selves, you will create new stories. So my view is not all about it's not only about learning through failure. It's failing fast and failing safer, because if you have the recollection of the stories, you have the story, and once you have the clear point of view what happened in the past and why it happened that way, you can create a new version. So that succession of failures and successes leads you to a hinge. That hinge will be the key point of what you can do. So it's one element out of many that you need to have like clearly selected, embodied in whatever is going to happen in your context, and through that you explode.
Thank you so much. And Andre, just wanted to your question remind me of something that I read this somewhere about some of the most successful failures, and it's about one of them, which is very remarkable, was the most celebrated and respected president of the United States that saved the Union. Talking about President Abraham Lincoln. He was, until he became president, it was a joke. When I say Abraham Lincoln, he tried to be a lawyer. He was not a successful one. The losses in the family, all these things. He tried almost everything, he failed. He tried to be a senator, he failed. But just like Victor is saying, the one thing you learn from that, you don't give up, right? Now, I'm telling you, he's the number one. It doesn't matter, black, white, everybody recognizes him as being the most successful president. I think that's another story to share when you're talking about failure, okay? Just like Victor said, failure and fail fast and get over it. You fall, you rise up very quickly, right? And learn from the mistakes. So thank you so much, Victor. So my second question, Victor, is that, as you know, since I visited and connected with you on your team, I told you almost everywhere I go, the ILAB has been a mantra. I know you say you're now doing a lot of work in Latin America. I received your report. The COVID is a problem, but you're going to go over it. It's going to pass, right? So what are some strategies that we can develop in order to not just for that experience that we have, successful experience have in Mexico, in Latin America, to export this? I would like to people that are watching, that will be watching us. We have almost like say 500 young students around that watching, and people also online to know about the ILAB. I want you, in your words, they say here the horse's mouth. What is the ILAB?
Well, the ILAB is an intention manifested in my failures. So The ILAB is a way of seeing things clearly because now you have the resources. The idea is if everyone knows something that helps them to better connect their necessities and their aspirations with the means of technology, something will happen. That's very basic and very easy. Now we teach innovation, we teach entrepreneurship, and we create the way of others to really build solutions, physically building the solutions. It's a very contagious movement around solving things through the actions of entrepreneurship. So it's like in these movies of Big Hero 6 or Tomorrowland, when you have this vast amount of resources, you can have conversations with very important people, and you have like the machines and the devices, and you have the freedom to fail safely because you are on training on failing. So it's a methodology for you to really try out something in a very isolated, contained environment. And through the lessons learned, you can better create a product, a process, or a service that will become a change agent for the community and help you to be a social agent in the community. That's a way.
Okay, thank you so much. Okay, Andre, Victor is yours again.
Thank you. Thank you
One
for
last question.
Yeah, thank you for answering the question. And maybe to touch a little bit on the topic of innovation itself. Just this simple question: what is innovation for you, and why do you think that in the year 2020, in the 21st century, innovation is still a thing and it still matters? Because we see all of these companies, especially the big tech companies, who introduce these new products or new services, which sometimes are truly innovative, but sometimes they are very minor changes in past renditions of previous products. So what is innovation for you, and what, in your opinion, can really jumpstart innovation in certain areas, for example, technology, that are currently maybe stagnating?
Thank you, Andre. I mean, innovation is a biological force. You're constituted, your entire body is constituted. I mean, whatever is surrounding us is constituted by the evolution of something that has to be changed because the conditions oblige you to change. So the innovation process is something that you can see everywhere. It's not about products. It's about yourself and what constitutes whatever it is that you can do or give or create. I mean, it's a way of seeing things by doing things. It's very easy. Now, in this moment we're facing, the only driving force that we can play with in order to surpass the next months is by changing the way we work it and changing the way we live. Because we no longer need so many products that we cannot have access to them once we don't have the economy to buy them. So what role will play innovation is creating new definitions, is creating new products and services, is creating new relationships with ourselves through the way we socialize and with everything around us. Is how we can be connected with nature in a different way, more responsible. And these new definitions we are going to create, mandated or not because of the pandemic, will speed up our social development. So the only thing forward is improve. We have already messed up many opportunities in the past. We already screwed up enormously in the past. You can have whatever, I mean, you can see what happened a few months in the United States and whatever ignited around the world with this Black Lives Matter. And you can continue seeing these missed opportunities to do something positive if you don't have the connections and the conversations and really try to assemble everyone around one common vision. If we don't take these opportunities and try to have this changing happening, the next big event we're going to face is going to be more difficult to surpass. It's not going to be about another pandemic. It's maybe around another failure, collective failure, we are not going to be able to solve.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much. During your presentation, Victor, you did, there's something that comes quite often. You tend to take our mind out of technology as solutions. You say technology is an enabler, which is something that people don't see. They just see technology as a solution. They don't see it as enabler. And I was very touched when you told that young girl, imagine, how they used to solve this problem before computer. And I think as the world becomes more and more this AI and all these things that taking over, I think that is very refreshing to know that yes. And you also stated that yes, almost there's nothing new here. All the problems somehow, some way came at some point, and people were able to address them and resolve them. It's very important to go and learn about how they address those issues. Okay, and what I want you to tell our viewers or people that are watching this is again, how is it possible for us to think, especially you and I are from another generation where we used to see these things. I remember recently, even a post, I was asking a young person who was a college graduate, trust me, to mail something. He said, where do you put the stamp? Can you imagine? For me, it was like, oh my God, scary to see that, right?
Yeah.
So for the younger generation, who grew up knowing almost everything was free because Google is there and things like that, how do we get them to really understand what you are just talking about? That yet, there's nothing new. We had this problem maybe in different capacity in the past. It's just that we need to go back. So how do you get these young people, the younger generation, to really understand that yes, there used to be a time where almost you had to pay for almost everything. It wasn't always free. It was on the internet. There was no Google when we were growing up and things like that. So I hope you can say a few words on that.
Yeah, I mean, it's very easy for this generation because they have Facebook and Instagram or TikTok right now, because they can see the things and they can see it real time happening. So forget about these experiences of the past or learning through the past. You can learn for different content. You can learn from different contexts. You can learn from the reality that people are facing right now, that they don't have the access to the same resources that yourself. Whatever is happening right now, I mean, in last week was the anniversary of the Balkans War. 10 years ago, 15 years ago, nothing. I mean, a few months ago was the anniversary of the Second World War. 70 years ago. You can have a video conference with someone in a refugee camp in Syria. Whatever is happening, started happening 5 years ago, the consequences are still living. So it's about sensitivity, It's about for you to be humble enough to recognize that you might have access to something that others are dealing with problems without that resource you might have. What you can do is asking yourself what you can do. It's not about the technology. The technology might help you to get something faster, cheaper, broader, but the main trigger will always be what you can do. If you don't have this as your mantra, nothing starts. So yes, we can connect, we can enable, we can redefine, we can design faster, cheaper for broader people, but still there will be a necessity out there. Someone has to solve that necessity. You might be the one because you knew, you find out, you research it, and you find a way. So the technology will always improve. The necessity will always be there. Who's going to start? I mean, what's first? Egg or chicken?
Okay, thank you. And the egg and chicken, what is your position on the egg and chicken? Which one came first? Just to close in a very bright note. What came first from your perspective, Victor, between the egg and chicken?
I mean, the first was the need to breathe.
Okay, that's interesting. Okay, so thank you so much for being a part of this, for joining our family. And again, this is an annual event. I hope next year we're going to try to do physical, but because of the reach of the people, we never have this many young people joining us. So we are not going to tell you, even when we go to the physical, we're still going to have a lot of work online. So thank you so much for your time, for your expertise, and for the things you've done. Because again, I strongly believe in the Dalai Lama who say, he who has saved one person has saved the world. Okay, so that's what you are doing there in Mexico, in Veracruz, and very soon, hopefully working together, a lot of people will be benefiting from your expertise around the world, even maybe in Slovenia, right, Andre? Are you ready to bring him there?
Absolutely. Good ideas are welcome everywhere.
Thank you very much, both of you, for this open space, and also for creating this event and engaging others to do the right questions.
Okay. Thank you very much. Okay, bye-bye. Bye.
Bye.